ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
There's a lot going on in the world. Before I introduce my guest, I want to center the conversation today because history may not repeat, but it definitely rhymes. And as I wake up today, I wasn't born when this was going on, but I do remember it because, we read a little bit here. In the 1950s, there was something called the Red Scare. And the Red Scare was led by a senator, Senator Joseph R. McCarthy. He was a small senator from a small state that has very few people, of Wisconsin. Shout out to the Cheeseheads. Little known junior senator from Wisconsin. February 1950, he claimed to possess a list of 205 card-carrying communists that were employed in the United States Department of State. He said they were in the labor unions. He said they were educators. And from that moment, Senator McCarthy became a tireless crusader against communism. Communism is interesting. And there was a period that was commonly referred to as the Red Scare. And as chairman of the Senate Permanent Investigation Subcommittee, Joe McCarthy conducted hearings on communist subversion in the United States and investigated alleged communist infiltrators in our armed forces. His subsequent exile from politics coincided with the conversion of his name into a modern noun, an English noun, McCarthyism, because what he was doing was ratcheting up hate, fomenting fear, and targeting American citizens that were not in alignment with taking down this government. During this era, there was no single list. They didn't have a list, but here's who he targeted. Leonard Bernstein, the composer and conductor. Charlie Chaplin. One of Charlie Chaplin's last speeches talked about fascism and the rise of Nazism, and he was such a powerful comedian who used his comedy to hold up a mirror. Langston Hughes, proclaimed poet, was deemed a subversive. Lena Horne was on that list that didn't really exist. Judy Holliday, Peter Seeger, Orson Welles, Robert Oppenheimer, and of course, labor union activists, teachers, and professors, because you got to target the people who are educating the people. You have to target them, and civil servants, the backbone of our society. And it had America in a chokehold for a short period between 1950 and 54. As I say, fascism, evil, this kind of energy, demonic energy, it's like a cheetah. It runs fast, it burns hot, but it doesn't last long. And all we need to do is to stand in the face and confront it and be more than cowards ourselves. Don't cower to it. Don't bow to it. Speak up. Be the silent majority. Is time. It's your time. It's your time. If you were like, it's not my problem, it is your problem. This is not my fight. It is your fight. It's your fight. It's your time to stand up because things are happening. So I brought in reinforcements today. It's Thrive Thursday, and she knows something about thriving and humaning well, which we also is part of our liberation plan. Let me welcome the author of Say More About That and the host of Humaning Well with Amber Cabral. Amber Cabral is here. Hello to you.
Hey there. How are you today?
I'm good. You come in all dulceted, all the tones, all dulceted. How are you feeling? Be a good human. I love that shirt. Love it.
Yeah, we're working on this. This is coming soon, like maybe next week.
Okay. I love it.
But
Love it.
yeah, I'm good. It's interesting. To say the less, I told a friend of mine earlier today who asked me how I was doing. I was like, I'm surviving the weird. I think that's what most of us are doing, surviving the weird.
I have an uncanny sense of peace. Mm-hmm. That I can't describe or tell you how I arrived at it. But it's almost like the serenity prayer that you those of you who are in recovery, you know what that is. And I think it's important. I think we also need to take a Hippocratic oath collectively, no matter how you feel, no matter what you do no harm should be the first. Then you say whatever you want, but first do no harm. Are you doing harm? Yes. Okay. Stop. Right. Stop it. And then have your emotions and your feelings, but I think we need a reset. And I think we're being pushed into one. So change is going to happen. Change is going to come.
Yeah.
But how it comes will be determined by each and every one of us. So a lot of people are talking about Jimmy Kimmel. We're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel, who was pulled off the air.
Mhm.
His late night show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, has been taken off indefinitely. ABC announced. We're going to play a bunch of clips because I have 60 clips to play today.
Oh
And Smith
my.
is, yeah,
Okay.
I kept sending Smith's clips. And I was like, this is the last one. And then I was like, this is the last one.
Bullshit.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the last one. And then finally I sent the last clip and it was terrible. But I kept running into people saying things that needed to be said. And I think it's far better to hear it from people than for me to just sit here and talk and chat. And of course, you and I can frame and shape the conversation, but something's going on here and I do think it is very McCarthy-ish, the silencing of people. And I'm going to give you Exhibit A. So while everyone's talking about Jimmy Kimmel, I want to direct you to an initiative that the president today said he plans to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. Now, some of you may not like Antifa. It literally stands for anti-fascists. It's an organization that is a militant group, and it's not a singular entity. So it's almost like Black Lives Matter. Who is it? It's a thought. It's a group under an umbrella of fighting fascism. Which, raise your hand if you're for fascism. I'm just curious. 866-801-8255. And you really want some fascism? Call the show. Let me know. I love fascism. I want to hear that you love it, and I want to know why and what we all can get from it, because it's not enough for you to benefit. What about the rest of us, who are being targeted and hauled off and terrorized? It's interesting. So what's scary about this, because once you are deemed a terrorist organization, your bank accounts can be seized.
Mm-hmm.
There's no due process. You can just be snatched up, and it's very McCarthy-ish in the sense that all your neighbors can turn you in.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds familiar. People can say you're part of Antifa. They don't have to have any proof.
Yeah.
That's going to become a label now, and it's now going to be deemed a major terrorist organization. This is crazy. As a matter of fact, Christopher Wray, the former FBI, we're going to talk about the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, the previous FBI director under Trump, said in testimony in 2020 that Antifa is an ideology. It's an ideology. It's how people think. It's not an organization. It doesn't have a hierarchical structure that would allow it to be designated a terror group. So an actual qualified FBI person who went through the ranks of the FBI to become that person said this does not hold up.
Yeah.
But here we are. Thoughts and prayers.
Well,
Amber Cabral.
we do this. If you think about it, if you want an example of what it looks like in a modern day sense for you to have no due process, there are still detainees at Guantanamo Bay that have had no due process because they were a part of a terrorist organization connected to the attacks on 9/11. So those folks are still there. It is 2025. So, I mean, this is, it's a dangerous thing to consider. Like we don't have to look all the way back to, McCarthyism to wonder how sweeping this could be and how impactful it can be to literally have no rights and no access. We have that relatively recent past.
I'm going to play a bunch of clips today, hopefully. And Smith, no sound effects to that. My goal is to have as many voices on these airwaves as possible saying things that we need to hear. But there does seem to be a fear like, I don't know, what can I say? I can get fired if I say, and you don't know what the wrong thing is, because even quoting somebody can get you fired. Even using the person's words can make you so it becomes a thing, and that's the goal, right?
Correct. So what I said, I was listening to you and Larry yesterday, and what I liked that y'all said, y'all said lots of great things, but one of the things that was like, understand the time and place. The episode of Humaning Well that will come out next week basically says that, like, hey, I know you're scared. Hey, I know you're freaked out, but like, get it out of your body. Maybe you don't get it out of your body at your desk, at your job, but you need to say something And you need to do it in a place where you have the influence to be heard. Because you hop hooping and hollering in a place where you know they're going to drag you up out of there kicking and screaming, ain't serving nobody. But there is
Yeah.
a place where people will hear you. That's the place you need to go and get the words out.
You know what's sad about that? You know, as I see children on campuses being kicked out of school
Yep.
and other children on campuses being hung, we'll talk about that later.
Correct.
It's a very, there once was a place where you could go, where you knew that there were organizers and people who, and it was usually the church, but the church was more of a meeting place and a gathering place. And yes, the Lord was there. The Lord was there, and might have been some praying and some singing and some Mahalia Jacksons and some other things happening. But you knew that you can count on certain places. There was a legal apparatus that you could trust. It was not all of this camera ready BS, you know, on par with ambulance chasing, but you're chasing clicks and algorithms now. But there were solid places, and we all knew where they were. I don't know where those places are where young people in particular, because young people really need some place that they can go, because this has to be sending them. This is a group that, you know, you raised up in a social media
Everything has
tablet.
to be entertaining.
Yes.
Everything. If it's not entertaining, I'm not consuming it, period. If it's not entertaining, if I can't digest it with a click, I'm not consuming it, period. And I'm going to be honest. I think the unfortunate truth about that is that we're going to have to figure out how to make some of it entertaining. Like, you know, as much as I'm like, yo, we need to get these young folks on board so that they are reading and consuming and understanding what's going on. I do also think that, you know, I consider myself an educator. You know, like I have to do a better job of figuring out how to make it entertaining, because the information alone being available isn't working. It's not enough. And so, you know, even into how we started this conversation, when you said the word fascism, I had a moment where I was having a conversation with someone and they were like, "What does fascism mean?" And I'm like, "Wow, like this is in the daily lexicon. This is a part of the everyday news cycle in some way, shape, or form. And you haven't so much as pulled out your Google to figure out what it is. So now I got to tell you, okay? And I know what you want to say, Karen. Like this don't make no sense, and this is stupid, and you shouldn't be talking. I know you, and I know where you are. But let's be real. It's a
No,
lot of those folks.
I'm actually softening my position because I'm overwhelmed, to quote a
Yeah,
pastor. I'm overwhelmed with the amount
yeah,
of ignorance,
it
and
is a lot.
it's a lot, and I can't fight it.
No, you cannot.
So, you know, they say if you can't beat them, join them. So I'm about to dumb it down, really dumb, as dumb as I
Same,
can get, for the
same,
people in the back who just,
same,
the synapses aren't connected and
same.
things ain't firing. I'm gonna start just really leaving it right. I'm gonna make it goat food for you, okay? But it's tough because I ain't been doing goat food for a while. I don't know how to make it. I don't know what the recipe is, but I'm gonna have to start making some goat food so folk can get the information, because we're an information vacuum, and it's even more, Amber, to your point, uh, too daunting, because I have to prep for a 3-hour show Monday through Friday
That's right.
and depend on a media that is compromised,
Mm-hmm.
that has bent a knee and has given up all tenets of journalistic ethics.
Correct.
The stories that I'm trying to find, like even this, you know, this Antifa story that's not broadcast. That
Nope.
wasn't like front page any place. One
Mm-mm.
of
You
my
got to know where to
producers
go
that
now.
had to
It's
dig
not the
that.
same. Yeah. Yes.
I said, what? I said, he's
Yes.
doing what now? It's like, where is
Yes.
it? Of course, we're going to verify it. And this, yeah, he said it. But it makes it even more difficult because they're first places that we can't trust. But then where do we go to get information? And
That's right.
so I'm deputizing everyone to become a journalist. Wherever you live, stuff is happening.
That's right.
Use your little devices instead. I don't want to see what you eating and the flower arrangements and how you walking your dog. I don't need to see all of that. We need to see what's happening in your community. Use your social media. This
Yeah.
is what Ida B. Wells did when her friends got killed at the People's Grocery Store. It was the catalyst for her to get up out and start writing about, oh, this can't just be happening in Memphis. And she was right, traveling around the world, letting us know. She became a journalist that day. Well, she
Right.
was a journalist before then, so let me just say she had the skills already. But this was really the driving force for her to get out her anger around her friends being lynched
Mm-hmm.
because of jealousy and smallness.
Yeah.
And we're here again. So
We are
let's,
here again, and I do think, you know, the making of the goat food also needs to be spread, because I can remember, like, just even 2 years ago, you could name some of these major organizations and they were a high quality source. That's not the case anymore. Algorithms run everything. Billionaires have control of way too much. Having a dissenting opinion can not only make you lose your job, but cause you to be ostracized. I've seen several letters from teaching organizations that have basically said if you say a word of any kind in any direction about any of these things, you will not only lose your job, but also you will lose your teaching certificate. We will come after that according to these rules. So, like this, I mean, this is
Wow.
not what I wish I could articulate,
Wow.
the last week for me. Very similar to you, I have a very strange sense of peace, and I can't fight with y'all no more. I cannot. And I am at the point now of trying to decide what both keeps me at peace and helps me help those who are willing to move. But what I look like rolling up in your organization, trying to help you, communicate more effectively and push back and challenge on things that are inequitable. When you have the literal leaders of the free world saying, if you do this, someone's gonna tell on you. Like, that's insane, but that's where we are. And so it's very difficult in that space to, like, for someone like you or for someone like me who's like, I'm cerebral and I understand what's happening and I'm looking at the connections and I'm concerned because I can see, it is difficult for us to then go, let me make the goat food. Let me do the, like, because the instinct is, I am confused about why you don't see this. But
Yeah.
I don't think we get to do that. I,
No.
I
And
don't.
and I'm not confused. This has been a 25-year
Yeah,
dismantling of
correct.
our ability to critically think and gather news. And it
Absolutely.
came in the wave, maybe it's 35 years of the digital print era where first to market, not right to
Yeah,
market. And we, the people, didn't care whether people were right.
that's right.
And we cared that this person got it first. You
Hmm.
know, the fact that TMZ was at some point up for a Pulitzer Prize for a story, I said, this is none of this is, and I'm not saying that they're doing better journalism is my point. The Rolling Stone magazine is doing
Yeah,
better
that's right.
journalism. So
Hmm.
we're here now. It is here. So
It is here.
the pot is at boiling. What are you going to do about it is the question that Joe Madison would ask, and he also said, "Put it where the goats can get it." So now we got to be goat food makers.
That's it.
Amber Cabral is here.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We